Okay, I just want to show you some things you'll need to know for the Windows 7 lab. Some of these are sort of explained step by step in the lab, but I just want to familiarize you with some of it. And others I do need to give you a little detail on. So I've got my Windows 7 virtual machine here. I'm just going to go full screen on it. So the first thing that the lab, or one of the first things it talks about, is gadgets. Again, this is something that was specific to Windows 7, so I just want to show you how it works. Gadgets are just things that show up on the desktop. I think our chapter on Windows 7 talks about them. So to add a gadget, you can just click anywhere on your desktop. Right click, and notice we have gadgets as one of the categories there. So that's how you would add a gadget. We're just going to right click, go to gadgets. There's only a few to choose from. I think there's more on the internet or something, notice here. But here are some of the basic gadgets. So for example, if I wanted a clock or a calendar or something on my desktop, I could just click one of those. Or maybe double click. Double click, sorry. One annoying thing about it is it doesn't go away, so or this screen doesn't, so I'm going to close this up. I've got my gadget up here, and from there you can move it around, you can change settings on it. So that's the only other thing I wanted to point out about gadgets. You can place it anywhere you want, but each gadget is going to have its own specific settings. Notice if I want to get rid of this gadget, I could hit X and that will actually remove it from the desktop, or you could hit this little gear to change some options. So I'm not sure what all the options on here are. I guess we could set the time, maybe make our clock look different, but just be aware that every gadget has things like that you can sort of customize and change on it. And I'm kind of anal about gadgets, so I'm just going to get rid of that. The main concept I wanted to tell you about is libraries, and this isn't covered in too much detail in the lab. So I want to show you how what a library is, how to create one, how to add things to it. So you're going to do most of this from the File Explorer or Windows Explorer. So down here I'm going to click this Manila folder, and this is where I would access my libraries. So whether we're aware of it or not, Windows 7 already has some libraries. What those are a collection of folders. So this documents library isn't just your documents folder. It also is probably documents from other users, or maybe from all users, or some other things are collected in that library. So that's what makes it a library versus a typical folder. So just to maybe make that a little more clear, let me show you what I mean. So if I go to my C drive and I go to users and myself, and there's a documents folder there. I guess not. But there's a pictures folder there, so let's use that as an example. So that is my pictures folder. It's only in my folder under my pictures. Whereas this picture folder here is probably a collection of, library is a collection of pictures from maybe 3 or 4 different locations. So that's what a library is. It allows you to pull in things from different folders, from different locations, and then when you click on it, it looks like it's all in that same spot. So it's all collected in one library, even though it's coming from multiple folders. So with that in mind, I'm just going to quickly show you how to create a new library and then add some various folders to it. Right. So again, you're going to do all this from the Windows Explorer. So you're going to do it from the little Manila folder. To create a library or to make a new library, just right click, and if this isn't expanded, sometimes this stuff is all collapsed when you first install Windows 7. You can always just click that little thing to expand it. So to add a library or to create one, I'm just going to right click on libraries and go new library. And you need to give it a name. So I don't know, I'll call it Work Docs or something. Alright. So I've just created a new library on this Windows 7 machine called Work Docs. But if I click on it, it's probably empty, doesn't have anything in it. So really the next step is to add locations or folders that might have things in it that can be collected into that one library. So as you can imagine, I think that's just a matter of right-clicking on this and maybe not. Yeah, here we go. Include a folder. So to add folders to this, which I think you'll have to do in the lab as well, we create this new library. So I'm going to click on it over here. And then if we do include a folder, that's one way to add it. The other way to add it that makes a little more sense to me, and I guess whichever way you prefer to do it is fine, but another way to add it, I believe, is just to go to the actual folder. So let's say we wanted to add this working folder, the stuff that's in that, to that library I just created. I think it's just a matter of right-clicking. So let's right-click on this working folder and include in library, and include it in that WorkDocs library. So again, there's probably other ways to do it, but this one sort of is easiest and makes most sense to me. So I'm gonna right-click on this, include in library, and now anything in this working folder will be included in that WorkDocs library. Okay. Let's include one more thing in there just so we can see how it collects things from various areas. Because notice right now, if I click on WorkDocs, okay, it has one thing in it. That's kind of okay. But let's say this maybe has some more stuff in it we want to include in that library as well. So let's right-click on this folder, include in library. And I guess when it does it, it opens it up. But notice now, even if this isn't expanded and we don't really know what folders are included in it, now if we click on WorkDocs, we have files from various locations, all kind of included in that one library. So that's kind of working with libraries, creating them, adding things to them. One other thing I want to show you is restore points. These are very useful. These are things that you could use on your own computer, whether you have Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. It's important to use restore points. Again, in the lab, it kind of shows you how to do it, but I just want to show you a little bit about what a restore point is. So let's say I've been using my machine. Maybe it's not a virtual machine. Maybe it's my actual Windows 8 or Windows 7 machine, and it's got a virus or something. What you could do is use a restore point to go back 3 or 4 days before you got that virus. So this is, or before something weird started happening on your computer. So this is a very useful thing to be aware of if you're not already. So in Windows 7, in the lab, you're going to create one. So I just want to show you kind of how to get to the restore points and where they are. So the easiest way to get to it is to go to your Start button, go to Computer here, and they're in different spots on Windows 8 and Windows 10, but they all have restore points. When this opens up, click on this Systems Properties up here. I know it's several clicks. I think the lab tells you these clicks as well. From here, I think it's under, I don't know, Advanced System Settings. I can't remember. Yes, I got lucky on that. So when that comes up, click this Advanced System Settings. It's still a little hard to find. From this thing, you actually have to go to the System Protection tab. So even though you clicked Advanced System Settings, you're not going to see the restore point stuff until you click this System Protection tab. It should be turned on by default. But if it isn't, you might have to click this button here to actually turn on the restore points. So be aware of that when you click this tab. If they are on, you can actually create a new restore point. Real quickly, let me show you how these restore points work. So I'm going to click this System Restore button. I'm not going to actually do one right now. I'm just going to show you how you might do it. So this comes up, you hit Next. So this is how, like I said, if you wanted to restore back to a previous point, you could do it from this dialog. So sometimes you might have one restore point visible here, just be aware if you click this box here, it might show you many more. So you might just have one that's like a few days old here, but if you click this, you might have another one that's a week old and another one that's 2 weeks old, and then you could click on one of those and basically do a system restore. The other thing and I think it's step by step in the lab, but to create a new restore point manually, they kind of get created periodically every few days or every week. But if you want to create a restore point yourself, you could just click this create button here. That's just a little bit of an overview for the lab. The rest of the information should be in the instructions themselves.